All right, well, this is Hike a Bike. The unit I put, oh crap, I smashed it. Well, I'll be damned. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That's gonna stink. These have been the most effective shoes. Okay, this is a breakdown of my TNGA 2022 bike gear. I'm gonna try to do this in one take. So if I make any mistakes, I'm just gonna keep on going. I'll go through the macro level and then I'll get into the smaller stuff after that. So first things first, the bike. This year, I built a new bike. It's a Lightspeed Pinhoti 3. And yeah, the TNGA goes on the Pinhoti, so what a better choice. It's actually got, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's got the Pinhoti logo on it. It's titanium, hardtail. It's got 130 millimeters of travel up front, so it's a bit of a trail geometry. Did really good on all the descents, crushed some rock gardens through the Snake, probably faster than I ever had before, so totally happy about the bike. It performed really well, and I hardly made any changes during the ride, which is unusual for me. I might have moved my cleats a little bit and my seat just a little bit, but other than that, nothing. Going forward, I'm going to drop the fork down for being more cross-country aggressive. So I'll probably drop that to a 120 and go from there. All right, so let's take a look at the tires. These are Icons, 2.35s. I've ridden those every year. This is my third finish, so pretty good success rate. And I've had zero issues with my tires. And the rims are Knox TNGA carbon rims on DT 240s. And wow, they are super fast. I love these wheels, these rims. The whole bike has just been outstanding. I'll run through the cockpit first. So up front, I've got a little bar extender. And this lets me put a few pieces of gear out front. I've got my huge brick of an InReach. That's the Garmin InReach. This is the large Explorer. They now make a Mini 2 that's completely new. It's got better satellite options, and you know, eventually I'll go to the Mini 2 for sure. But this guy's great. Only had to charge it once, and it just works. I run with a Bolt, a Wahoo Bolt. Only downside to this is that it probably gets about 15 hours of battery life. So you're charging it up more than, well, at least once a day. So before the end of the day is over, you're going to be charging this thing. And I like to opt into something where I don't have to do that. Then I ran a GoPro out front, and I had this little contraption set up on here for that. And this allowed me to, I could flip it up, and I could take little notes, you know, little status updates, or I could flip it down and, you know, get the terrain. And then I like to run this little UltraSpire light up front, and this is an UltraSpire 800. It's a waist belt light, but it's also really good for riding. And it takes these, I forget what these are called, but this is a pretty common battery for these type of lights. And I ran with 4 of these, and it worked just fine. That light you get on medium about at least 7 hours. So not a bad choice. Just sticking with the batteries, on my helmet I run a Ico Core, a Petzl, and this is a super light headlamp. And they sell these little stickers here to hook on. Then I just wrap the battery case in a rubber band just to keep that secure. This works great. And again, it's on medium. You get about 7 hours. And you know, both of them being 7 hours, you might lose both about the same time. So it gets kind of funny. Anyway, same helmet as last year, same helmet as every year. Smith something, Forefront. I don't even know if they still make these, but still wearing that, and it's still doing fine. This is my water filter. I just had that sitting in my helmet. It's just a Sawyer water filter, nothing special. On my last training ride, I actually broke the bag on my, I guess my other one. I had another bag and it broke, and which was really great because it didn't break on TNGA. So that's what I use for water. And there's plenty of good water stops along the route. So this is a really good system, at least for me. These socks are extra socks I bought in Dalton. Actually, not Dalton. Let's see, Vogel. Yeah, Vogel. Good grief. So yeah, I made it to Vogel. Feet were a mess. Didn't have any powder. And they had some socks. And I bought 2 pairs of socks that are kind of thin like that. And that helped me out a lot. Some other odds and ends hanging out. I took some of this stuff this year. This is just tuna in a little bag, and I put some mayonnaise in there, and it was really good. I enjoyed that. I had about 3 or 4 of those. I also carried with me, in a continuing effort to carry food across Georgia, I started out with these Scratch hydration mixes. And I don't know if I like them. I liked them at the beginning, and I didn't like them at the end. So something about these didn't sit well with me. So things changed during the ride. All right, other top level things. I run a lot of Revelate bags. Actually, they're all that except for this Rock Brothers bag. And so I had 3 bottles, 1 in a cage, and 2 in these feed bags, just proper bottles. And then around the feed bag, I had, you know, powders and salts and food. These are Element salt hydration packets. And so it's funny because at the beginning I did not like these, and at the end I did like these, but I liked them in about a half ratio. So I would just mix in with water to taste. Like I'd get to a taste point where I was like, oh, I like that. And that's how I did the last 2 days, and I didn't have any stomach issues doing that process. Also carried my knife. This is what I used to scare the bobcat away. Actually, this is what I used to make myself feel better when the bobcat was yelling at me. I got up to Taylor Ridge, my last bit of sleep, laid down for 2 hours, and was awakened by a screaming bobcat. Scared the crap out of me. Let's see, nothing special else in there. Let's see here. I don't think there's anything else other than what I've shown you. I think I carried some salt tabs. Yeah, just in case salt tabs. More things just to carry across the state. And I think these are more of those, yeah, more Scratch. So I probably carried a ½ pound of Scratch across the country, but I didn't need to. But not unusual for me. So, all right, so that's the feed bags. How about this guy? I carried a little fanny pack this year. I have a couple of these, and this one is probably the smallest. And I thought that would be a good idea, because the bigger they are, the more you put in them. So in there I had some glasses. These are Tifosi Sledge, and these were money. Best part about these is keeping swarming flies and mosquitoes out of your eyes. This year at Pocket Road, or the area around Pocket Road, there were swarming mosquitoes, and it just about pushed me to the point where I lost my mind. It was intense, but these were really helpful. I carried some other odds and ends in here. I had my phone in here, my earplugs. I had some Tums and some caffeine pills and some I guess ibuprofen in case I need it, and I never did. Kept my money in here. So my opinion is still lukewarm on a fanny pack. I didn't mind it, but it did kind of interfere with stuffing stuff down the back of my shirt. It's almost like you got to make a choice between one or the other. I had stuff in my shirt like my rain jacket, and that, you know, anything I put back there would just kind of hit that, and it was, I don't know, a little bit aggravating at times. All right, so let's keep moving with the top tube bags. This guy right here is a bolt-on bag, and I really like him. This powder is stuff that I carried across Georgia. Yay for stupidity. Liked it in the beginning, didn't like it at the end, but it's got a real high calorie content. This is Scratch Super Fuel, and I think overall I still like this stuff. It's just, I think I got tired of it. So that's that. I kept a little tool in there, some other odds and ends, some batteries, a little wrench, and my ginger chews. These are awesome for me. These will bring me out of mild nausea. They'll help with bonking and kind of get your stomach settled. First 2 days I used these and didn't need them the last 2 days, but first 2 days after about 18 hours I was having some issues. Okay, so that was kind of a food and tool bag. This is where I kept all my electronics. I have all my cables, extra batteries, and then I had a charger. Look at this over here. I may have ruined this with the moisture, but I only took one cache battery. It's just an Anchor. I think it's like a 13,000 or something. And then I had this charger right here. It's a 4-port fast charger. This was really good. I hope it still works. And then I had a bunch of cables, and I brought an extension cord like a foot long, and that was really useful. I could use that in various places to plug this into and then charge all my batteries. So that worked pretty well. The only challenge was really that this bag filled up with water. You know, it's reversed, right? It's a top tube bag, and I took it back to the seat. So water would get in here and settle in here, and it would pool. So this was not a great choice, but it worked. It worked well enough. All right, keep working on the bags. This is my bivvy, or I kept my bivvy in here. It's just an outdoor research helium bivvy, and that's all I've got in here. And I just use it as a stuff sack. And I only used it, I don't know, maybe twice. First night I slept in that in a shelter, and then the last night with the Bobcat I slept on it on Taylor's Ridge for, you know, less than 2 hours. Doesn't smell too bad, but it needs to be aired out. Okay, so I love this little bag. This is called a shrew. This is a Revelate shrew, and it's really good for dropper posts, which I ran this year, and I would always do again in the future. It was great, especially when I got tired. I could drop that thing down and I could just step over and sit on the bike. So definitely something I'll do again. All right, so this is an SMC, an Ergon SMC gel saddle. Same saddle that I used last year. Didn't seem as comfortable as last year, but I still didn't have as many I didn't have any real problems. The sit bones are fine. Maybe some calluses, but it really wasn't that bad. And I'll talk a little bit about what I wore for my shorts. I changed that up a little bit this year also. Let's move up to the front. I ran a sweet roll, which I got really frustrated with this year. I love the sweet roll because you can expand it. You know, as your needs change over the ride, you can expand out or contract in. You can put stuff, you know, inside the little thing here that snugs it up. That's where I put my sandals, which those are great little zero sandals. But the thing I didn't like about it, and it maybe is the way I configured it, I don't know if you can see this, but it would hit my shock valve here, and so that's fully open, and it would hit it and it would put it into, you know, not fully open and make the ride rougher. So if I was hitting some awesome downhill, this thing would be banging and would be pushing me more towards a closed valve, and the ride would get rougher and rougher. And man, that's just a pain in the ass. Really finally got to me. When I got to Mulberry Gap, Kate sold me these velo straps, which are super cool. I've always wanted some. But I used that to kind of get the bag lifted up a little bit, and that helped. You know, it didn't solve the problem completely, but it helped. All right, so let's take a look, see what's in here. See if there's any surprises. All right, so there's some socks. There's my Save My Life More Than Once Outdoor Research helium jacket. This thing is done, but I still use it. It's a good windbreaker. I've tried to wash and reseal it, and for the most part it's pretty good, but it's really kind of a thermal insulator and not very good anymore at keeping water off me. But out of everything I've got, I still really like it. Let's see what else is in here. Yep, so there's my dope kit. Not real dope, but toothbrush, any kind of you know, anything to clean up my body or brush my teeth or wipe something off, or deodorant, body glide, that kind of stuff. So any personal items I kept in that little bag. All right, so then after that, ooh, those socks are rancid. I went with Swiftwick socks primarily this year, and they did really good. I'll show you my shoes in a minute. The Swiftwick socks are thin, and I think it gives me more room in the shoe and prevents, there's a thing called neuroma, or I don't know, something like that. It's essentially a pressure point on the ball of your foot, and I've had trouble with that before, but by going with these thin socks, having more room, allowing my foot to splay more. Let's see, let's finish out this sweet roll. See what else is in here. There's my pillow. There's a buff I never really used. Here is my dry bag for clothes. And what I tried to do was anything dry I kept in here. These are the shorts, the wool briefs I used this year. I used these, and then I had just a quick drying short over top of that. And this worked really well. Last couple of years I've used a tri-short, and I've actually got that in here. I brought it just in case, you know, it didn't work out with the wool shorts. So I carried that across Georgia for no reason. And then I think I've got a buff in here and some extra gloves and some socks, and I didn't use any of that. I used the socks, but not the buff. All right, let's put that there. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, there's my poles for my bivvy. There's some mayonnaise and an old Payday that's kind of gotten some stickiness. This is my puffy. This is a lifesaver. This was essentially my quilt every night. This is just a REI puffy in a dry sack bag, and that's worked for me every year I've done this. It's been a really useful tool. Let's see what else is in here. I think just a couple more things. Oh ho ho ho, that's gonna stink. That's my jersey. I was wondering where that was. That's toxic, so that needs to be cleaned up. More socks. Yeah, this is not good. There's my gloves. These are the Troy Lee Air gloves. I bought a new pair this year, and they worked really well. They're super thin, super light. They're not great for wiping sweat because they've got some rough edges to them. You know, if you wipe your nose. But other than that, they're pretty good. Pretty good gloves. These are rain pants, but I actually wore them to sleep in for 1 or 2 nights. Just a nice little thermal layer. And also when I took a shower at Mulberry, I got into those and didn't have to walk around in the robe. All right, so that's all of that bag. All right, next thing I talk about is my shoes. These are Pearl Izumi X Alps with a boa closure. These have been the most effective shoes for this event. They've got a really good bottom for hike-a-bike, which I'm doing a lot of. I walked miles and miles and pushed my bike miles and miles in these shoes. Pretty good sized toe box, good comfort, drain pretty well. They do carry a little water in the heel, but I mean, I'd give them 9 out of 10. These are really good shoes, and they held up well. And Pearl Izumi's been great to work with. They sent me a replacement for the boas for free, and all I did was ask. I said, hey, I'd like to get a replacement set, and they sent it right out to me. So I was really impressed with that. Great shoes. I will continue to wear those. I think lastly is going to be my toolkit. I carried a tool bottle on the bottom, keep all the weight down low. This is a Zeffel, I don't know what they call it, a tool bottle? Whatever. It's got 2 little compartments. And I'll kind of try to show you what's in here. So on the top, I carried one of these tubolitos, and that's all that little top section is. It's just good enough for a tubolito to sit in there. And what's interesting is that with all the creek crossings, this didn't get wet inside at all. The lower unit I put, oh crap, I smashed it. Well, I'll be damned. Well, I knew I hit some rocks, but holy crap. Well, it used to be a really cool tool bottle. And if it got wet, it didn't get wet from up here. So anyway, there's some oil and a rag, odds and ends. There's my patch kit for the tubolito, some rubber bands, a bunch of other shit. the BOA stuff. I mean, just all the odds and ends that you would need. And I'm really disappointed that broke. I know there was one or two big bangers I had, and I never checked it. So, I mean, that could have been a lot worse. You know, it doesn't look like I lost anything. It doesn't look like anything got super wet either. So this must have been near the last day. There's a derailleur hanger for the frame. There's some spare brake pads, chain brake, spoke tool, little wrench, tire levers, the wolf tooth chain tool, some spare valves, some spare chain, the BOAs, some spare clips. Man, that's it. That is it. That was a nice little surprise. So that's it. So that's the breakdown for TNGA 2022. Had a pretty good year, finished 19th. I think there were, I don't know, 30 drops or something like that. So I finished about in the middle, which is about where I usually end up. So overall, good time. All right, well, that'll wrap it up. All right, she's all cleaned up, all tore down. Scratches galore, battle scars. Overall, not too bad. Nothing really needs to be done. I'm ready to start riding this thing. It feels so light now. You can see the scratches maybe. I'll work on that soon, but for now, it don't matter. Just ride, right?